drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets. When I'm performing, never boring, now you can't afford it. Champagne Perrier, vintage friends on my face, looking like I'm from the deep. These no Cartiers, pockets deep, 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 bro. I can make it in my seat, bro. Do you, I'm doing me, bro. Making noise, use a beat, bro. Whoa, I press the button and the doors go off like, whoa. That money clip was not a new, now looks like, whoa. Upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Neighborhood on the scene, neighborhood on the strip, neighborhood be the name, neighborhood no crib, neighborhood that's me, neighborhood that's Nick, neighborhood do the dance, neighborhood do the deal. Okay, thought I'd never make it like no way, I'm the real deal, no role play. My days off, that's no days. No, I hustle hard, young rose. E be the shooter, that's cold case. Those on the deals, that's brose. Got no pay, don't no say. Okay, this the news, tell them read it. Been the one since the fetus. Don't sleep on me, Tempur-Pedic. That's a no, no, no. Spending dope for no reason. Got a ball head, Mr. Cleaner. Heard the big bags overseas, then we gon' go, go, go. Whoa, I press the button and the doors go off like, whoa. That money clip was not a new, now looks like, whoa. Upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I press the button and the doors go off like, whoa. That money clip was not a new, now looks like, whoa. Upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like, whoa, whoa.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, it's the one of the only Sir Hale Speaks. It's good to see everybody. First of all, guys, I'll be coming through loud and clear tonight. I think it's been quite some time since Sir Hale Speaks has been on a podcast, but tonight I decided instead of us waiting on the right time and having all the things in place, that I wanted to come on tonight and share my ideas about a topic that I think that we have to expand our conversation on. So if you guys are tuned in, let me know where you guys are tuned in from. This is a completely impromptu stream, but I'm very interested to see where you guys are listening from. Everybody who's watching, whether you're on the clouds or you're just now tuning in, where you guys tuning in from? I want to make sure I give a shout out to the city that you're representing. We're going to have a good show, probably going to be a brief show, and it's less going to be a monologue and more so a conversation. That I started to think about as I was working on some things today. But before we do this, guys, how have you been? How have things been going for you? How is your 2026 going? It is February. We are already 2 months in. How's the year going for you? If you haven't already hit the like button, do me a favor, hit the like button for the stream, for the algorithm. Your boy needs to get back into the algorithm. So I need all the help that I can get. So if you guys do me a favor, hit the like button. I would greatly appreciate that. Okay, tonight, there's a lot to cover. It's a lot to cover tonight because I'm going to be dealing with some things, a particular conversation that I think needs to be expanded. I think the conversation around what we've been talking about, I think it needs to be expanded. And tonight, I'm going to address that. So let me kind of give you some insight to where this came from. So you guys know since about 2021, 2022, I have been a podcaster. I've been making content about relationships. It has pretty much been the staple of the work that I've done online. It is the subject of the book that I wrote, Do I Stay or Do I Go? It comprises about 75 to 80% of the material that I have online. It is about relationships. I think that these things are important. Good to see you, Lady Yannick. Good to see you, Lady Hale. Most of the talk that I have revolves around relationships. And as the years have changed, so has my conversation. It's amazing what exposure can do. It opens up the lens of your perspective on things. And so I've taken a step back because I wanted my content to be a little bit different, a little bit more informed, a little bit more empathic, a little bit more understanding. And there has arisen something that I think needs to be discussed. And I want us, this is going to be less of a monologue. Well, I'm a preacher, so the monologue may come out. And if I do, I apologize, but it just is what it is.
Sir Hale
But I think
speaks
we
in
need
the
to pivot
building.
the conversation or at least expand it a bit. So for the last, what, 5, 10, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, we have talked about relationships from the dynamic between men and women. So it has been romantic. And then from romantic, we talk about family. And in this, you get a chance to hear different paradigms about what we think women are and then what constitutes femininity. And then on the other side, we get a chance to talk about what men are and what constitutes masculinity. And so these conversations has been kind of pivoted one against another. Men are saying that we need our women to be X, Y, and Z. Women are saying that we need men to be A, B, and C. And so there is this constant and necessary dialogue between men and women. But there is something that I have to address. I think that in our quest to bring light to some topics that need to be talked about, some very difficult things, relationships have gotten harder with the advent of technology and with what we call, evolving as a society. I think that we have developed an unhealthy perspective of the opposite sex because we only reduce them to the things we need in that particular moment. There is no genuine understanding about the nature of the other. We just, we get what we need, and then we could supplement the other things. And in that supplementation of the basic things that we bring to each other, it has caused us to reduce our respect for each other. And I think that's a problem that we have to address, but that's going to be a separate stream. What I want to discuss tonight is a tendency for men to over communicate that the expectations that have been placed on us by women constitutes the majority of the problem that we have in terms of us being men and respected as such. Now, let me pause here because I know on YouTube and online, people typically hear a few minutes of what you say and then they create a whole narrative with 30 seconds of content. So let me clarify. You're not saying that there is no validity to the fact that there are some unhealthy perspectives as to what a man is. Certainly, there's a couple things. Like I think one of the big issues we have is that the shifting definitions about what a man is and what masculinity is. So depending on who you ask, what woman you ask, she's going to have a different definition based on the things that she didn't get. So if a woman has never had a man who was protective, then of course protection is going to be part of the definition about what a man is. But a woman who has always been that may not have that same deficit, and so her definition may be different. And so this is why you see a shifting definition and why I believe it is men should not get their cues from the culture. I think men have to set the definition and hold men accountable for living up to the tenets of masculinity. But again, that is a different strain. The problem that I'm seeing is that the dominant portion of the conversation about relationships between men and women stem from what the women are saying about men, and there's very little conversation about what other men are saying about men. And that's what I want to highlight tonight. And hearing men talk, young men, old men, going to speak at different places, men of different races and creeds, men of different socioeconomic statuses, it has opened my eyes to understand that while there is a lot of unhealthy conversation about what men are, what men should be, coming from the other side, if we're honest, a lot of that unhealthy conversation stems from the things that other men are saying about other men. Let me explain what I mean. I have noticed that in a lot of content, like men generally act like they have always been successful. There is this persona that they have always been wise and that they have always had it figured out, and that being a man is not development. Being a man is this checklist of stuff that you get to say don't apply to you. So if you're finally at a place where you're making a little bit of money, you're at a place where you're in shape, you're at a place where you can do some things, you've got some confidence, then masculinity, we project where we are today onto other men who are developing, and then we create a narrative as if they should be there without providing grace or assistance for them to develop. And so again, there is place for us to have a conversation about what the women are saying. But tonight, I want to focus on men. And why am I doing this? I am doing this because if you were like me, if you were a man like me who did not have all the resources, didn't have all the examples, didn't have, all the things that you needed to, what you thought you needed to become the man you wanted to be, it is a very difficult journey to self-discovery. And if you don't have the support and people who respect what men are, not the people who only think that men are good for mowing the lawn or fixing the plumbing or paying a bill, but people who genuinely understand the nature of men, what God designed us to be. If you don't have the support for that, then you go through your life people pleasing, and you think that people pleasing is part of masculinity until life bursts your bubble and you recognize that is not what being a man is. And so I noticed that there is this statement that's made, regardless of what age or stage you're at, that we throw on each other as men, and it is just be a man. So we don't factor into where you come from. We don't factor into the things you've had to overcome. We don't factor into your experience or what areas you have deficits in. We just assume that because we have arrived and we are finally there, then you should be too. So if you've got a difficult situation, just be a man. If you find yourself depressed, just be a man. Suck it up and keep on working. Go make some money. Go to the gym and do some push-ups. You know what I mean? Just figure it out. Just be confident. And I think while that has its place, I think that rhetoric that speaks to who men were in the 1900s has to expand to account for the expectations on men today to be emotionally aware, for our emotional capacity to be expanded to understand our wives, our children, our communities. And if we are stuck telling men to just be a man without actually decoding what that actually means and providing an example on how to do that, we're going to leave a generation of men ill-equipped and depressed, because we are acting like the distance to where you are now to becoming a man is a snap of a finger, when really it's a years-long process of discovering self, of going through trials and tribulations and making mistakes and overcoming your shortcomings and understanding the monster in you and seeing the good in you, and understand that who you are as a person is not limited to one particular thing, but that who you are comprises of different feelings and emotions and gladness and sadness and passions. And if we don't teach men this, then I think that we're going to lose a generation of men, because we're acting like the distance from where you are today to being a man is the snap of a finger. So I wanted to share a couple of things that I think are going to be helpful. So if you're part of this conversation, first of all, let me ask you this to do me a favor. If you got men in your life, please take time and encourage and support your men. Support your sons, support your fathers, support your spouses, support the men in your life, because the task, undertaking the task to be a man, is a sacrificial one. Men who are stable and who are consistent are the vehicles, are the engines that drive society and family and industry forward. And the pressure that's on a man cannot be underscored. A lot of times we think that, you are a man because you made a certain amount of money. Let me be transparent with you for a second. I thought that when I was earning $16 an hour, I was less of a man. And so I put myself through all kind of stress to go from $32,000 a year to $50,000 a year. And then when I got to $50,000 a year, I thought it was going to be this confetti. I thought there was going to be a whole group of people celebrating my accomplishment from moving my income bracket from one level to the next. But can I tell you what happened? When I moved from 32,000 to 50,000, there was no applause. Okay, I said, you know what? I'm at $50,000. Let's move on. Let's try to get to 60. Got to $60,000. There was no applause. Let's try to get to 80 to 90 to 100. Let's do 150. Let's do 200. And you hit these metrics. You start to realize that no matter what you hit, there is no magic money number that you can hit where the confetti is going to come down, cementing your journey to manhood, because you cannot define who you are as a man by how much you earn. Now, let's pause here.
Speaks in the building.
If you agree with what I'm saying, if you feel what I'm saying, just tell me you feel me. There was no celebration. There is no confetti. There is no congratulations. You've earned it. Really what it is more people with their hands out. Because the more you earn, people start to see you less as a person and less as and more of a resource for them to use. So now we get a chance to throw this out. I cannot define myself by money. Okay, let's take going to the gym. You know, I used to be a scrawny dude. People used to take me for granted. I was disrespected on several occasions because I was the nice guy. I was taught to be chivalrous and respectful and to open up doors and to say, yes, sir, and no, ma'am, and to pull out chairs and to be gentle and to be kind and to be soft-spoken when I need to be and to be considerate. And when I was skinny, I was taken for granted. So let's go to the gym and let's get swole. Sir Hale speaks in the building. We lifting weight in here. Let's throw 405. Let's squat 1,000. You get the muscles. There is no congratulations. There is no confetti. There is no finish line. There is no entourage of people saying, congratulations, you have become a man. So I can't define myself by my money. I can't define myself by my muscles. You know what? Let's get some status. I started a YouTube channel. You know, I put out content, and it took me about 2 years to go from a few subscribers to several thousand. I'm talking about celebrities following. I'm getting all kind of engagements, all kind of coaching, money coming here. I'm doing big things, and you get here, and then while there is acclaim, the acclaim does not speak to the internal thing in me as a man that needs to be validated. So what should have been something that bolstered my ego and confidence served as something that messed with my self-esteem. And now I started to feel less confident the bigger I grew, because I was trying to use social status as the mechanism, the vehicle to make me feel like a man. So I can't rely on my money. I can't rely on going to the gym. I can't rely on economic status. So you know what? Let's try to be dominant. Let's sound like a man. Let's argue like a man. Let's contend like a man. But that still does not soothe, because you can sound like something and not be like what you sound. There are such things as what we call ventriloquists. There are such sound as people who are impersonators. Just because you sound like something or you dress like the thing doesn't make you the thing you sound or you dress like, because who you are as a man doesn't stem from how you present. It stems from who you become as a man. This is what I want to share with men. I want to say that I've probably been guilty of this. I have been so focused on my own endeavors and pursuit to be a man that I told men what they should be, and I didn't say how to get there. I shared my highlights. I told you guys about the house and the cars and about the success and about the hours I spent at work and the things that I accomplished. But what I failed to do is to talk about the journey there and the dark nights and the days where I felt alone and where I didn't feel it was worth it, where I had to wrestle being effective while being depressed, having to encourage others while suppressing my own stuff. I didn't tell you guys that I went through 4 or 5 different therapists. I didn't tell you all the nights that I prayed. I did not tell you guys, and I think this is the crux of what men are missing. We teach men that you have to be there, but not how to get there. I want to be the first to tell you that if you think that I'm something, I want to be honest with you. You don't get it overnight. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I became an adult at 18, but I became a man at 30. Because being a man was not in the muscles or the money or in the status or the social acclaim. It wasn't in people liking. It wasn't in people pleasing. It wasn't in that. It was when overcoming the circumstances of my own life and not blaming the outcome of my life on other people and blaming this woman and what my ex did and what this person did. It is when I developed the very first thing is a sense of personal responsibility. So to all the people who are listening here, if you want to understand what a man is, I'm going to give you a couple of keys. A man is someone who has an intimate relationship with responsibility. You can't be a man and be irresponsible. You can sound like a man, you can make love like a man, you can have children like a man, but doing all the mechanics of a man doesn't make you one. They become men when they become responsible for the outcomes of their life. When they understand that their decisions don't just impact them, that their decisions are not just about them, that the sum total of their life is not for them to express their own desires and their feelings and for them to, to find their own happiness. Life is not just about them. While it includes them, it's not just about them. You have to be personally responsible. And sometimes being responsible requires denial. It requires you to delay what you want now, because the outcome of what you're going after requires a level of discipline where you can delay gratification for something objectively bigger. If you look at men today, you can probably see this. It is a lack of responsibility, but it not as a character flaw. See, I want to make sure that I'm making this succinct, because if I go down this path, we could say, see, you're right. Men are like that. They lack responsibility, but why? Have these men been taught? Have these boys been trained on what responsibility looks like? Not responsibility based on what they can do for somebody else to make them feel good, but responsible for the development of their own selves, development of their own mentality, of their spiritual posture, of their emotional intelligence. Are they responsible, understanding that if they don't take themselves seriously to develop themselves, if they never take themselves becoming quality seriously, they'll never be seriously quality to anybody else? Do they own their actions and their decisions, or do they offload that to someone else and say it was someone else who did it? I didn't have a father. I didn't have a mother. I didn't have, the right peers. I grew up around gangs. And while these things may be true, can you take ownership that while you may have been influenced, that it was still you who made the decision to engage? You got to be responsible. You got to be responsible. Men must be responsible, and men who have learned to be responsible have to be honest and say, at one point in my life, I was reckless too. See, a lot of us, we don't share our mess ups. I've noticed this as men. A lot of us, we're so excited to finally be someplace stable that we forget the journey. We think that if we let people inside and we remove the curtain and expose them to the process it took for us to be who we are, then we lose respect. And I'm learning something, particularly with this younger generation. You win respect through transparency. What did it take to become a man? What did you have to live through? What did you have to deny to become the man you are today? What did you have to reject and say no to? What mindset did you have to embrace? When men can share that I have not always been where have not always been financially responsible. If you knew me, I would spend money on shoes just ridiculously. I would buy more shoes and would hardly wear them. Or we overspend on cars, or we overspend on restaurants. A lot of men overspend money tricking on women, trying to impress women by what you have. And you look back 10, 15, 20 years, and you are out of thousands of dollars that if you would have been in your right mind and been responsible, you could have been a millionaire by now. And as men, we got to be able to say that. We got to be able to say, here are the mistakes I made, and I want to save you from making that. Let me share with you my mistakes and what I learned from it. We got to be responsible. Elder Von, it's good to see you. Lady Young, it's good to see you. Is this making sense? We got to be responsible. There's another thing that we have to address. There is a necessity for sexual discipline. If there was one thing that I encourage, because we spend so much of our time talking about we want virgins, we want women who got low body count, and listen, all these things have its place, and if you want what you want, but I think that it is unfair and unjust to expect higher quality out of the person you want to be your mate than you have for yourself. Like, where does the assumption come in that you can be reckless and you can have quality? Now, some men will say, well, it's nature. Well, when men are men, no, listen carefully. Part of the reason a lot of men have not been able to get ahead financially is because they lacked sexual discipline and ended up having children too soon without a plan to provide for them. And now child support in the court systems have been weaponized against them, taking their funds and their resources and their time. And if we're honest, if we would have known better, had a little bit more discipline, and instead of having our children by 2 and 3 women when we knew better, if we could have found one and built something with, I would argue that many men would agree that this would be a better outcome. You have to be sexually disciplined. Like, I am not championing you getting out there and knowing different women and the reason why is because STDs are going around seriously. There are people who will lay down with you knowing that they got something and will give it to you and act like they didn't know. And now you're going through the rest of your life living with something that could have been prevented if you just had some discipline. A lot of times we use it where, he's a man and he can't control it. You absolutely can control it. Guys, listen carefully. You can control yourself. Guys, you can control yourself. You're not the first man who's had a difficult time. You won't be the last one who had a difficult time. Those feelings eventually pass. A lot of the issue, though, is that you spend so much time trying not to engage, but really it is you need to redirect your energy to someplace else. While you're focused on chasing the next piece, what is something that you're working on? What projects are you working on? What are you trying to build? What are you trying to grow? What are you trying to accomplish? If you redirect that energy, it's not to say that the urges won't go away. It is just saying that your discipline has been refined and you are able to navigate that terrain because you're working on something. When men are not focused on something constructive, women become their projects. I'll say that one more time. When men are not working on something meaningful, something that constitutes, that necessitates them becoming better, women become their project. So this is why they go on the hunt. This is why they go on the chase, and they're looking for how many that they can get, because in the absence of objective purpose, we subject women to a subjective one. And the more we get, we brag on bodies and not brag on business. We brag on how many we were able to take down because we don't have any template or any conversation about how many people we help lift up based on something that we built. So you have to be disciplined. And part of this is you have to be accountable. One of the big things that you're going to need if you're going to go down this path and you're going to focus on your morality is you got to be surrounded by men who see you better, not men who make it convenient for you to go against your own goals. You got to be around men who celebrate and who don't make you feel ashamed because you have different standards for yourself. Lead attorney, it's good to see you. Good to see you tonight. Glad that you're here.
Sir Hale speaks in the building.
It is important. You got to surround yourself with the men who hold you accountable and push you to where you want to go. One of the things that I see with all kind of men, they don't understand that who you hang around, you eventually become. You hang around low quality men who can't speak, who are not confident, who don't have a trajectory for their life, who don't want anything, who's not after anything. And you make time, all those hours of conversation and all the poker nights without the poker nights without you actually accomplishing something, that adds up. And this is where you get a chance to see men who are 45 and 50 years old who are talking about what they want to do because they never took the time to actually get it done. You got to be in fellowship. And as a man, let me tell you, I felt that, as an individual, that I could accomplish life and be successful alone, that I didn't need anybody. Guys, hear me carefully. Men need other men. You need men, you need the camaraderie, you need to be challenged. You need men to be honest with you. You need a man to tell you, hey, you're fat. You're getting out of shape. You got a gut that's hanging over your belly now. Like, you falling off, guy. I'm with you. We boys, but your boys should not coddle you like you're a baby. Your boys are supposed to push you because they become mirrors and reflections about the man you say you want to become. And if you're thinking that you're going to be successful on an island, take it from somebody who thought he could do it himself and reached a level of success. But if I had learned what I'm telling you earlier, I would have been a lot further. In order to be in a league of men, you've got to learn some skills that make you uncomfortable. You got to be confident with yourself, tall or short, confident with yourself. You've got to be confident about your abilities, and then you have to leave room for constructive criticism. That if there's areas you can improve in, then the men you hang around have the ability to tell you that without you getting emotional, saying, you know what, forget all y'all. This is why I don't need anybody. Because if you don't allow yourself to receive constructive criticism, you will always be a man-child in a grown man's body, never accomplishing your potential because you were never in a league of real masculine men. Fellas, you can't do this by yourself. I'm telling you what I know. I felt that I could do it alone. I thought that I was strong enough. I thought I could be successful alone. Real success, if real success has to rest on the shoulders of one person, it won't be successful alone. You got to work in teams. It doesn't mean you have to have a lot of people, but you got to have somebody. There's a lot of men who are wrestling with depression and sadness and anxiety and low self-esteem because you are your own consortium. You are your own board of directors. And while you have autonomy, you still need other men who can see things about you that you can't see or that you refuse to see. All right. So men got to be responsible. Yes, absolutely. Iron sharpens iron. And it's a very interesting thing that you just brought up, which is important because, in order to be sharp, there's some cuts there. It's not always comfortable. It's not soft. It takes effort and time. But if you allow yourself to be sharpened, you will become a better man. All right. The other thing is the quality of your relationship with other women. Now, this is something that we have to explore more. Now, I'll say this: if we got to be careful with how quick we are to criticize men who are mad at women. We got to be careful how quick we are to judge them and to talk about them. And I'm going to tell you why. When we talk about our daughters and our women, we typically say things like, if she shows dysfunction in her relationship patterns, then we often ask the question about her relationship with her father. We extract from that question and from the resulting answer that if she is dysfunctional, that this dysfunction stems from some issue or strain with her paternal relationship. What I don't hear often is us giving men the same grace. If you take some time and investigate, a lot of men did not have good experiences with the women in their earlier experiences in life. Just like a woman can have daddy issues, a man can have mommy issues. And if the lens through which he sees women are coming through somebody who broke him in ways or put him down in ways, you can't just say, just be a man and get over that. That takes years. That takes time and effort. That takes time to be cultured in a different way for the old stuff that you saw to come out. So we have to be less quick in how we judge and be a little bit more understanding, because if we are too quick, then we become like the voices of what they are so desperately trying to escape. A lot of what you hear, these men don't hate, these men hate women, these men don't like women. When you hear people talk like that, that's a secondary emotion to an issue that has been unresolved. There is buried hurt, there is buried disappointment, there is buried fear. And men who get older and have to get a job and provide for a family and grow and be responsible on top of unhealed stuff, that's not easy to unpack. Particularly if you live in a world that if you unpack, then you are a sassy man. You're not masculine. You know, who hurt you? Well, yeah, somebody did hurt me. And to be honest, I've been so busy trying to be a man that I haven't been able to even be honest about my hurt. And the part that really drives men who have never had the space or safety to heal is that the expectation for me to understand and create emotional space for you is there, without the grace for me to even have emotional space for myself. Like the best men perform the best with women when they've had time to practice on themselves. If I never had any time to understand my own emotions, I don't have practice on me, which means I'm going to be horrible on performing on you. But Jesus would say something like this, you know, do unto others as you would have them to do unto you, or love thy neighbor as yourself. It is the thing that we have done to men, where we are asking men to be experts with people without ever giving men the space to be men and human for a moment, to develop the skills and insight to deal with their women. We cannot expect emotional capacity from men if men can't have that for themselves. All right. So that's a whole different conversation, but I think it's one worthy of discussion, because I think that we have become too quick in being critical about men without addressing the underlying tenets that make them what they are. Okay, and the last thing, everybody listen, I told you it was a conversation tonight. The last thing, men on here, getting the money, you know, chasing the bag, you know, getting resources, you know, being successful, all that is good. But you have to have a heart that forgives as well. There's a lot of men who we see hurt, and that hurt is a secondary emotion to something that is up under that. A lot of men are harboring negative emotions because they have been damaged, or because of what an ex did, how somebody shattered them, and they don't know how to forgive. Some of them have made grievous mistakes and don't know how to forgive themselves. It's going to be very difficult for you to live and to become a quality man if you don't give yourself grace and understanding to have made a mistake and to have learned from it. If you constantly replay what you've done and you keep on penalizing yourself for every mistake you made, instead of taking that mistake and doing something constructive with it to become a better you, it's like you're going to keep poking holes in your masculinity. You're going to keep poking holes in your self-esteem. And that, good sir, is going to impact how you show up at work. It's going to impact how you show up in relationships. It's going to show up in how you show up in life, because you're not going to be able to give people grace you don't give yourself. So if you got anything from this tonight, is that the journey from going from where you are to becoming a man is not a snap of a finger. It is the constant evolution of who you are and the intentional development of the different iterations of yourself as you go through different experiences. And in order for this to make any sense, you're going to have to give yourself some grace and get around other men who can challenge you to keep on becoming, because life is going to be difficult. All right, guys, that was my monologue for tonight. Did you guys get anything from what I said? I know I rambled tonight, but I thought it was important. I want to see my brothers win. I want to see my brothers successful. The truth is, a lot of us have been positioned to fail because we have entered into life without the right equipment to become a man. And then we got politicians telling us what a man is. We got women telling us what a man, women who have never had a man can't keep a man, telling us what a man is. We got men who don't really know what being a man is. We got cues coming from every place. And so I wanted to kind of pierce through the noise and say, you don't just get there. It is a journey. It is intentional, consistent development to become your best self, the self that is directed towards an objective purpose. That's not just about you. Okay, guys, I said a whole lot. The whole nerd came out today. Guys, what do you think about the conversation? Did you guys agree, disagree? Did anybody want to call in, say something? I'm going to drop the link very briefly. It's been too long since I've done this. Good grief. It's been too long since I've done this. But if there are any men who are listening or any women who heard this and have some thoughts about this, I would love to hear from you. I just dropped the link below in the chat. If you guys want to call in, I'll leave it open for about the next 60 seconds. If you guys want to call in and share your thoughts or your opinions on this, I would love to hear from you. Lady Anye, as always, I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. You guys, I haven't been doing lives. Sorry, guys, I'm eating a peppermint like it's an hour later. Sorry, listen, my bad. Speaks in the book. No, it got me. The sour thing got it right up in there. Pray for it. I haven't been doing lives because I have been growing as a man, as a person. And I want to make sure that in my content that I don't just go viral. I want to be effective and impactful. And I think that there is no other way for me to do that without showing some authenticity about my development into becoming a man who has a family and has responsibility, who is an old school traditional guy, but one whose heart is becoming more compassionate, still stern. I am Sir Hale speaks in the building, but compassionate, understanding of people. There are limits to this, but it's amazing how life and failures and issues and things that blindside you, how they humble you. And as a man, life has humbled me in ways that has made me more receptive to the idea that I still have a long way to go and the humility to trust God in the process. So anyway, guys, I dropped the link. Do I have anybody who wants to call in and say something to a brother? You know, there's, holler at me tonight. I'll do a stream tonight, and I'm going to do one on Friday as well. I'm going to deal with a couple of different things. Tonight, I was going to deal with the conversation about, is a certain amount of money, a lot of money in 2026. And I'll do that show Friday, but it's not going to be what you guys think about. I hope you guys can tune in for this Friday, but this conversation about just be a man, did this resonate with anybody? Ladies, have you seen men who are going through life looking and sounding like a man, but their ability to handle responsibilities and pressure are not on par with the appearance of a man? I want you guys now listen, if you're over 40, 50, I want you guys to call me directly. We got to go through an expedited process. We ain't got no games to play. But there are a lot of men who are out here trying their best to be it while feeling inadequate because of the social pressures that are put upon them. And so I want all of us to have a bit of grace and us to be encouraging and to celebrate wins while we provide criticism. Don't let your criticism outweigh your encouragement. In order to see great men, we got to encourage and build great men. I want to be a part of that process. All right, guys, what do you think about this? Any questions, any concerns? Going once, going twice? Folks, I love you. Y'all pray for a brother. I'll be back on live. If you guys enjoyed this, leave me a comment after this video. Let me know what you guys think about this. I'm going to be doing some more conversations about things that I think are important, and I'm looking forward to growing this audience and widening our impact. Until next time, everybody, Sir Hale Speaks. We out the building.
Sir Hale
Don't forget you guys, sir. God bless you, Elder Von. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the one and the only Sir Hale Speaks in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the one and the only Sir Hale Speaks in the building.